4, 3, 2, and we are live. So let's see what YouTube says. Are we live? Are we not live? I don't want to say, hey, we're live, and YouTube goes, you're not live. Hey, look, YouTube says we are live. So what is up, everybody? Keith Mitchell here from the Outerhaven Productions. I'm glad you're joining us on this lovely Saturday night or Sunday if you're in other places in the world. Welcome to the Spectator Mode podcast. And we have another fun-filled, zany, colorful show for you tonight. But before we go, I want to introduce the co-host, of course, Carl May Smart, who's completely ignoring me.
Always. I never pay attention to what the hell you say every week. I just say other things to seem contrary.
And then, of course, we got Matthew Getsilius Paul. What's up, Matt?
Hey, I'm doing good.
And we have a guest. Hey, Sean, introduce yourself, buddy.
Hi, everyone.
So Sean is from a different podcast. You may have noticed he's not part of the staff, but I was on his podcast, what was it, about a month and a half ago? Around that?
I wanted to say that.
So he's on our show. You know, we're going to keep doing a little back and forth here. You know, it's always good to have new faces on the show. So with every Spectator Mode podcast, we always talk about the games we played. And Sean, since you're the guest, go ahead and tell us what games you played.
Well, lately I'm reviewing Bravely Default 2. So I've been playing that. Although with my work schedule, I've been using more of Bravely Default's little mode that they have, which is really nice for people that have other things to do. You can go to a certain area, or each one of the towns has a little area you can go to, and you can set it to where you're going to set sail, and then it'll go, and you put your switch on sleep mode, and for 12 hours it'll just do stuff, and you can gain treasure that way. So you can gain like JP or XP, which you can then use to use on your character, so that they're still gaining levels and stuff even though you're not actually playing. So it helps me. I've wound up being over leveled for the area that I was in for a long while until I kept playing. But I mean, it's more Bravely Default. But I love the job system in this game. It is so, like, everybody can use every job, which is what's nice. It's not, you got to have a certain job on a certain character and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you can do what you want. So that's what's cool. It's however build you want. And then you also kind of have to use different jobs on different people. It's not just have one job for the entire length of the game. So there's a lot of strategy to that as well. Because there's times where you get to certain bosses and go, oh crap, I have the wrong team for this. And I got to go do this again. So, and it has a cool system of being able to tell you when you're over leveled and under leveled too. Like when you're under leveled, the monsters will come at you. When you're over leveled, they'll come running away from you and they'll start crying, literally. So it's a nice little system. And I love the art style too. There's like a little storybook that you're in, and every town has their own little music and setting and everything. So very well done from the folks that do those games and the Octopath game and everything.
Would you recommend that for anybody who's a fan of RPGs?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if you played the first two, you're right at home. It's the same wonderful battle system that you love, and then it has more added on to it and a better job system than before. So I would say, yeah, definitely. And I've been playing Retromania Wrestling as well.
Oh, yeah, that just came out. How do you like that?
I mean, that game is fun. Like, I mean, it doesn't have a huge roster, but when you don't have the I think it's House of Hardcore is the group that they're aligned with. So, sort of. So that's like they have a small amount of wrestlers, and then they, has the whole BWO, which is funny. And then I think the 3 DLC characters are like James Storm and
Cole Cabana,
Chris Bay, and some like those are the first DLC guy. Yeah, Cole Cabana's in there. Zack Ryder's in there, but he's not Zack Ryder.
Matt
so
Cardona,
like, Matt Cardona, and sorry, I stopped watching wrestling like where I used to. My first like 6 years of podcasting was a wrestling podcast, and we watched everything from WWE to Impact when it was TNA still, and New Japan and everything. So I got like wrestled out, and so I haven't like really been keeping up with everything. But you know, I still know what most of those guys are. But it's a fun game, and I like the fact that it's simple. Like it doesn't get overly complicated. I love the fact that it tells you when you can actually use like strong moves or weak moves or whatever, depending on your little bar that you have at the top. And then, of course, when it's flashing is when you can do your special or whatever. The only thing that sucks is tag matches are still annoying. Of hey, it doesn't matter how close I am to my tag partner, he's still dumb as shit to get at, to be able to like go attack the other guy before he not makes it to where I can't pin him. So outside of the tag matches, it's a fun thing, and they have like a story mode which stars Johnny Retro or Johnny Nitro. I guess he's back to being now,
John Morrison,
and or John Morrison.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they all everything goes back to. I know you haven't watched wrestling in a while, but a lot of the guys end up going back to WWE for.
Well, and then they've left. Like I saw, was it a Big Show went to AEW or whatever after being retired. So, it's between those two right now, and we'll see how long that goes.
All right,
but yeah, I mean, those are the two games. I mean, I got a code for I think it's Story of Eden today, but I didn't get to actually try it out before we started.
Fair enough. What about you, Matt? What you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of Fantasy Star Online too.
I've noticed. Holy crap, man! Are you hyped for Genesis? New Genesis?
I'm getting a little hyped for Genesis. I also just found like some friends to play the game with. MMOs are boring by themselves, with friends it's fine. So we're playing a lot of that. Yeah,
that's the whole definition of an MMO. You're not supposed to play them by yourself, man.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Trust me. So the whole social thing of it. I've been playing a lot of obviously Loop Hero. That game's cracked. I haven't had a chance to play the game I really wanted to play. I wanted to play some let me see, is it I gotta say it right. Dandy Ace, not Ace Dandy. I keep saying it
right.
Yeah.
Space Ace Dandy. That's what it is. Space Ace Dandy.
Yeah, Space Ace Dandy. But I haven't had a chance to play it as much. I know Mad Mimic really put on a hard effort to the game. They really got the community behind them with their 3-4 betas. So I've been playing it since beta 1. So I'm definitely excited to give this game my full attention when I give it a chance. And I've also played a lot of Slay the Spire as always. I'm addicted to card games and roguelikes. So you put them together and won't make me stop.
Well, as long as you enjoy them, that's the whole thing. There's never a thing about playing your games and playing them too much, especially within reason. I'm the last one to talk with reason.
Right. I mean, when we got a great game like Slay the Spire, no blame there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like roguelikes, but I somehow like found myself enamored with that game. So totally understand you.
Oh yeah. So you said you like Bravely Default 2?
Yeah.
You didn't find the counter system a bit annoying?
The
counters, when the counter system the bosses enemies can do, you didn't find that a bit annoying?
Yeah, I mean, like it does a better job here of telling you like when it's like your turn and everything.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell you at all for the enemies, so you don't know. That's what I don't kind of understand is like, why tell me when it's going to be my turn, but not tell me when it's going to be their turn either?
Yeah. That's my only complaint with the game is like the counter system just feels sometimes a bit counterintuitive because of how busted you can make a character. Like you make this really OD Beastmaster, and then you just get countered. Like, no, what did I do wrong? That's the only that's my only complaint. But I think it's a great game other than the counter system. I hope when they make Bravery 3. They fix that. That's the only thing I have to fix.
You assume there's going to be a 3. You assume it's going to be a 3. Come on now.
Square Enix, come on, it's money
They're
time.
They're already doing another game. It's like this game just came out. We're already talking about what is this new game called? Project Triangle or something like that.
Yeah,
Triangle
yeah,
strategy,
Project
yeah.
Trap is the way. Let's get the geometry on. But no. I say 3 will happen, but not quickly. I'm predicting maybe 2025. 2024. Because once we get out
I
of
mean,
this.
if they could end up doing another Octopath Traveler before
There
Oh
you
yeah,
go. There you
that's
go.
true. Yeah, but don't. Yeah, I have faith that'll be happening. I mean, it's Square. Square doesn't really kind of drop their titles on Kingdom Hearts down the tube. Look, man, I'm just saying.
I wouldn't say that. I definitely would not say that. But anyway, Carl,
I wouldn't say it.
what about you, Carl? What about you, buddy? What you been playing?
Well, I have been playing. I have actually been playing. That's actually quite a weird thing to say without actually using the words World of Warcraft in the title.
I know, doesn't it feel so good? I'll give you a round of applause.
I'm 2 weeks clean.
2 weeks clean.
Oh
I kicked
man.
this off this time, mate.
Hey, look, one day at a time. I did actually go back into the World of Warcraft. I went to the World of Warcraft forums only because they decided to change the way their game time works and everything, and I just wanted to see the reaction to it. And as per usual, everybody's pissed off and wanting to quit. But I did that earlier. I still have no regrets. I don't even really feel the need to jump back on it. Thank God. But what I have been playing this week is I've actually been going back and playing a bunch of PS3 games, which will be in relation to an article we're going to have a word about it very, very soon. Basically, I've played. God, what have I played? I did start out playing Resident Evil 2 and 3 on the PS4, went back and finished them again under 2 hours each. Because, got to keep doing that speed run, go get that timer slowly shrinking. But then I jumped on the PS3 and started playing some games on there. Played the NBA Jam remake, which was actually quite good. Still holds up, even though it is 720p. And then I played Dragon Ball Battle of Z, which I went, why did I play this after like 10 seconds of playing it? Because it's a terrible control system. Like some of the worst control system I've ever seen in a Dragon Ball game. And speaking of absolutely terrible controls, I picked up one that I never thought I'd actually get my hands on because it was such a limited release. Lucha Libre AAA Heroes del Ring. So basically Mexican wrestling. And oh my God, this game is so slow, so badly designed. And I'm just like, I think I finally found a contender for worst wrestling game than was it TNA Cross the Line or whatever it was, the TNA Impact video game that was absolutely terrible. So yeah, I've been playing all sorts of stuff lately, mainly because of the PS3 rumor that we'll address later this evening.
Well, at least you're not playing WoW. That's the thing. I was like, man, I really hope he doesn't lapse because I know he wants to stop playing that game, and I really want him to stop playing that game. So I'm glad to see that you haven't lapsed back into it yet.
Hey, there will be no yet. Let's try and keep it on the positive. Let's try and make sure that this WoW sobriety continues.
Hey, I'm all for it, man. I'm proud of you. I'm glad you did it. I guess for myself, I actually have not been playing a lot of games mainly because of health reasons. But the games that I had played, that being Monster Hunter Rise, because I'm a big fan of Monster Hunter World. I actually did an article about that because we talked about the earlier, Carl, about the lack of black hairstyles in the game because I'm a person of color. And funny enough, there's a big conversation taking place right now regarding this because a lot of people are saying the same thing. What the hell happened, Capcom? You had a lot of these hairstyles introduced with Iceborne, and then you just dropped the ball again. Outside of that, uh, the game is a lot of fun. It is what it is for the Switch. It's not exactly a Monster Hunter World on the Switch. It's more of the mobile version of the Monster Hunter game with some world elements tossed in there. It is quite enjoyable. I would recommend it. I also would probably say if you are a graphics whore that you might maybe want to wait for the PC version to come out later this year. Uh Either way, it is what it is. I've also been playing a game called Galahad for the PC. It's actually a beta. I think it's going away fairly soon. But what this is, or I should the whole name, Galahad 3093, it's a mech game. Similar like Mech Warrior, but a lot more fast pace. Team deathmatch where you have to grab points, capture bases, destroy other mechs. It's actually a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the full version of the game. I've got a lot to say to the developer about it. But if you're a fan of mecha games and you've been looking for one on PC because there's not a lot of them out there anymore, I would definitely give this a try while the beta is available. I don't know if any of you've ever played what is it called? Hawken a few years ago, but that's what it reminds me of. Hawken was another mech game for the PC that it got sold to another company and then they pretty much shut it down. It kind of made me mad because it was a fun game. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Obviously, I've been talking nonstop about Outriders, which comes out next week, which I can't wait because I'm on that game as much as I can. I've got like 70 hours in the beta. That's a beta. 70 hours in the beta. I have problems.
My question for you
Working
is:
on it.
have you cheated?
No.
Oh, good.
I'll-
Then you won't have to face their cheating system.
Unless,
Yeah, I love that.
I love what they're doing. Can we talk about that for a second? I know that's not on the agenda, but can we please talk about that for a second? So for those who don't know about the cheating system in that game, they will pretty much do everything they can to shame you. They have told people we are watching you. They weren't very vocal in the beginning, but I guess more people were asking about the cheating system. So they're pretty much saying, hey, everything you've done, we've seen you. There's only been about 200 people out of the million people that played it. And there was one guy who gave himself what did he say 600 legendaries? So
Wow.
that's hilarious. But what they're doing is they will match you in a pool of other cheaters. So it's going to be harder to find matches or sessions. And what did they say? They also will add a watermark to your game.
Yeah. Well,
So
they'll also add a watermark to like the character
all your
as well.
characters as count wide.
Yeah.
So if you
Wow.
record gameplay, you put it on YouTube or something, people are going to know automatically that you are a cheater.
I like it. I love it.
And you got to think about this for a second, right? Okay, even if you did cheat right now, the legendaries that you got are capped at levels. The max level, I think, is what, 9?
Yeah.
So they're useless. They're completely useless. There's no point to have them other than saying, "Oh, I have a legendary." Whoop the freaking do. Your best bet right now is to delete your character, redo it because it doesn't take very long. There's not much in there, and just start the game with a clean slate. Because if you go into the game with your cheat character and just delete the weapons, you're still branded a cheater. Just give them up. It's not worth it.
You need to
That's so
delete
dumb to do
all.
that in a demo. Like it's a demo. At some point, it goes for the full game. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are just
Well, that's the thing. It's like, guys, is it worth it? Is it really worth this?
Some
But
people.
I wish more developers. I wish more developers were like this. I wish they were like, hey, we see what you're doing, and we will brand your ass for cheating. More people need to do that. Because I guarantee you,
mm.
nobody wants to be shamed, especially if they're trying to upload their stuff. Can you imagine a big time streamer being branded a cheater?
There are plenty of them out there who do cheat.
Yeah, there's been plenty has been caught, but can you imagine this? There haven't been many companies that I'm aware of that actually will watermark your stuff. Like if you're using a pirate version of Windows, it says in the bottom corner, "Hey, this is not a legit Windows copy of Windows." Can you imagine that if the watermark in the game says, "Hey, this guy's a cheater"? And what if they put it right in the middle of the screen so you can't hide it?
I would honestly love that. I want them to do it for fighting games. People rage quit or boost their account or use hacks to jump up ranks. That would make my life so much easier.
But here's the thing: it's a single player game, like with multiplayer elements. Like, why? Why
It's
are you
just that
doing this?
I feel like it just comes from like a need for like this is my desire and I want it rather than just it defeats the purpose of the game. That's the way I look at things like that. Like you just
It does.
yeah, like at some point you're gonna have to play the game. You don't want to play the game, then why do you have it? You know?
You
Oh,
know,
it's too hard or blah blah blah. But that's kind of the whole point.
play the game legit or don't play the game at all. I don't know. You know. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, but that is hilarious. I'm glad that they're actually doing that. I commend them. I want more developers to do the same thing. Show the cheaters the door. Make them play legit or get the hell out. Take your pick. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we should jump into our very first topic here. Let me just get back to the topics. So, a game we're looking forward to, Back for Blood, has been delayed until what, October?
Yeah.
Yeah, October.
Carl, I'd like for you to speak on this, sir, because you're the one who had some hands-on with this game and you enjoyed a very lengthy session. What do you think about the delay?
Oh man, like I understand that you go delay something if you're looking to do spit and polish, make sure that the servers are up to snuff and everything else, especially in a game like this, because you are dealing with a essentially four-person multiplayer game that I think they're not using Steam servers like you would with their previous entries, Left 4 Dead, and like there were a lot of bugs and issues still with the game. So if they're just trying to iron everything out, I'm happy for them to delay it till October. But if this is one of those delay because we haven't made enough orders type thing, I'm going to be very upset because I'm wanting this game like badly. I love the Left 4 Dead series. As Keith said, I did play the beta. I did record video, which is on our YouTube channel, and it was a very interesting and fun time. But the fact that this was originally supposed to come out in June and now it's been pushed back to October, I'm like, cool. So I'm now left with no games for the middle of the year. Thanks, guys. But yeah, well, no, actually, my really like the games I'm interested in list pretty much it's like between now, I think we've got Pokemon Snap at the end of April. Then a couple of weeks later, it's Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8, whatever you want to call it. And then after that, it's pretty much nothing till I think about September, October.
I mean, that Resident Evil should take us quite some time. Knowing you're going to play the hell out of that game multiple times because you're a Resident Evil fan.
Yes, I will definitely be playing that game multiple times and probably, I don't know, let's see if I can upset the Resident Evil community again.
Yeah, you like doing that.
But yeah, like, again, I think if this is just one of those things where they're pushing it back because they're trying to iron out the bugs and trying to make everything as stable as possible, good on them. Because, you know, as people have noticed, you can delay a game forever and a day and still push out shit, Cyberpunk.
I think that, excuse me, is a reason why a lot of games have been delayed as of lately, because there are games that were coming out and then they saw how Cyberpunk was, and Cyberpunk is a milestone because it goes to show you that doesn't matter how much this game is hyped, one bonehead decision will destroy your game, destroy your company, destroy all your goodwill and reputation, which seems like forever. CD Projekt Red was like in the middle, was like at the forefront of being one of the best companies out there for gaming, and now they're literally shit right now. And I'm not saying this to throw shade at the company, but everything that they did with this game, not taking responsibility, you know, telling Microsoft and Sony, telling people that they'll go ahead and take care of refunds, promising patches, not delivering those patches, saying, oh, hey, we played these games on these consoles, they run fine. The game comes out, oh, we didn't have time to test it. Okay, so which one is it? You did test it, you didn't test it. And just where they're at right now, to the point where they had their intellectual IPs, their properties stolen from them, and then sold because people were so mad at them.
The best part about it is I believe one of their head producers left the company. So
yes. It's like literally everything that happened to them. I don't want to say they deserve it because no one deserves that, but it's showing developers and publishers that if you rush a game when it is not ready, the community will go, "What the hell?" And nobody wants to be the next Cyberpunk.
No, exactly.
There's been so many games that have been delayed over the course of the last 3 months. It's great to see because, as we've been saying for the longest time, if the game needs to be delayed because you need to work on it to polish to make it the best it is, then delay the damn game. If you're worried about your investors who are worried about, you know, returning their income, if you sell a game that's crap, the game's not going to sell long term. Word of mouth is going to happen. People are going to get pissed off. The game's going to stop selling. They're not going to get the money back. Just like what's happening with CD Projekt Red right now. They were everywhere. They were in every headline for weeks, for months. And now you hear nothing.
Soon to be bought up by Microsoft in 2021. Yeah, I joke about that, but
So yeah, it's a damn shame. I feel bad for them. But getting back to Back for Blood, yeah, delay it. Delay it. If it's not ready and you are hyping up this game to be the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, delay it. Delay it for as long as you need. I don't care. I can wait. Carl can wait. We all can wait. That's all I gotta say about it. Delay a game to make it better is great. If you delay the game, it's because you don't meet sales, which I don't think is the case here, then that's bad. But yeah, I think the delay is worth it. That's just me. I'm done. I'm gonna shut up now.
This game was Kickstarted, if I remember correctly, correct?
No.
Okay, just want to be sure.
Yeah, they just came out of nowhere. It's like, oh, we left because Turtle Rock Studios, correct me if I'm wrong, was part of Valve, and that's how they did Left 4 Dead. And then Valve wasn't doing anything, so they were like, you know what, we're out. And then they did another game. What was it? What was it game? Evolve. Did Evolve.
Yeah,
And Evolve did not do well. Did not do well whatsoever. I think it was out for maybe 2 years.
4v1 things.
Yeah. And it didn't do well, so they just stopped the game. The servers stopped, and Turtle Rock just disappeared. And then out of nowhere, back in like 2019, they announced Back for Blood, and then they showed it off last year. And no, this year. They showed it off last year, but they gave people access to play it this year. And then it got a release date, then rest is history. So yeah. Was not Kickstarter though, no.
Yeah, I just want to be sure, because it's like, if it was Kickstarter and they're pushing back, that's the only people that would kick back on them, and maybe investors, blah blah blah. But screw those guys, because you want a bad product, or you want, as you pointed, you want a bad product, or you just want to make that quick buck. Because if you're gonna kill my name, I'll drag you down with me. That's what developers should do, in my opinion. It's like, let me give you the name of every investor who forced us to make the game quickly, so I could drag them down. This is who they are. Done, and let's see what happens.
That could backfire. That could backfire.
See, the thing is, it's not about backfiring. If the idea, and I do mean this quite seriously, if you are planning to scorch Earth, it's not about backfire, as long as you're dragging them down with you. So leave it from there. If that is the plan, go for it. Otherwise, don't do it. But secretly do it.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. That. I mean, scorched Earth means I'm never coming back. So I.
Oh guess. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, of course. But it's like, and my take is like, if the reason why a game's been pushed out earlier because it has to meet deadlines of what the investors want versus the product of the game, and you have no control over that because you took the check, which taking the check is its own like philosophical argument from there. You can scorch Earth them, because that's unfair. They should have. Come on, man! I'm making a video game here. I'm making this, and you're going to be like, "Yeah, we want it out now." That's impossible. Well, I already paid you $6 million. All right, then scorch it for this, because that's impossible.
So you mean Cyberpunk?
Yeah, Cyberpunk. It. Just scorch Earth them. Yeah. If the investors are the one responsible for it, there's too many hands that ruin Cyberpunk. Too many hands.
That's going to be the new term. Your game, you've been cyberpunked.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be. We don't want to be cyberpunked. And I know every developer out there is doing the same thing. We don't want this to happen, and I applaud them. But this is something that should have happened in the industry years ago, because Cyberpunk's not the only game that was rushed to market and didn't do well.
Day one patches became a normality.
Yeah, but I think like the thing with Cyberpunk is like it's never been that bad, where this is supposed to be one of your headline games of the entire year. You let it go, and then what was worse was that you lied. It wasn't so much that it was bad, it was that you lied about it, and you tried until the end to lie about it. Had they been more honest about it from the beginning, I think there'd be less backlash. It's more about the continuously lying about it, and then continuously throwing people under the bus about it when you're saying I'm sorry as well. So it's just there's a lot of like, it should have come out, but when you came out, you got to be honest, and you can't be like trying to push it on somebody else.
When that happened, I had shades of Batman Arkham Knight on the PC in my mind, because that was easily the worst launch of all time leading up to this. I think this overshadows that.
I don't
because
know.
there's
I mean,
multiple platforms.
I don't know. Todd, not Todd from Bethesda. You know his never-ending lies. You know.
But Fallout 76, I think you were referring to, they
Yeah.
did get better. They did admit that this game was bad. They did come out and say, we realized we messed up. You know, CD Projekt Red was like, no, there's no problems here. There's no problems here. It's fine. Like,
Yeah.
Everything's
what?
gonna be
Oh,
okay.
yeah, it's fine. And then, but the testers, it was the testers' fault. They didn't test it well enough. That's why on
Meanwhile,
PS4 and Xbox it was bad. Like, come on.
meanwhile, the testers like, we've been telling these guys for months that this stuff doesn't work right. What's going on here? And then then they were like, it's the developer's fault. And the developers were like, what?
No, it's not.
It
We
was.
told you we needed more time. You were like, we don't care. Get it ready. Like,
Can't we have to make this make this bread today?
We did it all on PC. So then when we tried to scale it down, we realized that it wasn't going to work for PS4 and Xbox. Well, really? Come on now.
Come on.
meanwhile, you said it was fine on consoles.
Yeah, like a month before.
I still remember when this game was announced way back when the game plan was to make this a PC only game. This is before we had, you know, GTX cards and PlayStation 4s and all that fun stuff. I guess they thought, hey, these consoles can handle it. Yeah, guess what? They can't. So that was a bad move. So again, delay it. Delay all the things. Delay every game that you need to delay if it's going to make the game a better game. And it was my keyboard at the very end. Delay them. I should be moving my arms, but yeah, I'm really frustrated about that. I was hyped for Cyberpunk. And then I mean, it's bad when we got a review code for Cyberpunk. We got multiple review codes for Cyberpunk. And I went back to the people who gave me the codes like, I'm not reviewing this game. You can take this code back. I am done. And they were like, all right, we understand.
Yeah.
So, that was terrible. All right. Anything else to say about Back for Blood before we bounce and hit the next topic? Going once, going twice. Nope. All right. We are moving along. So let's talk about a rumor that Sony is reportedly shutting down the PlayStation Vita, and the PlayStation Portable from the PlayStation Store. Now, this comes off of an announcement they made last year that they were going to discontinue access for these consoles, these platforms to the PlayStation Store, but they never gave a date as to when they were going to do this. Now, apparently, people are running a story saying that it's going to be in July of 2021. Sony hasn't said anything that I'm aware of. Has anybody else seen an actual press release from Sony about this yet?
Nada.
No, Sony said nothing.
Nope.
So right now, a lot of it's hearsay, which is why we didn't run the story at the Outerhaven, because Sony hasn't said anything, and I don't want to be the one to say, "Oh, hey, they said this," and they come back and go, "No, we didn't say this." But
this whole thing started because some random gaming site said that they had somebody who had connections inside Sony who said that they had heard.
What was it?
To be fair, I don't think The Gamer is actually a pretty reputable site. They're the ones that had that whole entire thing about Techland and everything else. I wouldn't just discount whatever they said. The reason why Sony's being quiet about it is because they either have an announcement, as they said, that's going to come at some point here, or they're being quiet because if they say, yeah, we are, the uproar that's going to happen is, even worse than the one that's happening right now.
Oh, it's going to be a big uproar. There's going to be a big uproar.
Yeah, if it's true. Yeah.
But I think the uproar is, and not, this is not directed solely at PlayStation. And this is a topic that Carl is very passionate about, is the fact that it just goes to show you that digital distribution, buying games via digital, can bite you in the ass eventually. Because if you buy something off of a PlayStation Store or Xbox Store or Steam or wherever, eventually they're going to stop supporting your platform. Well, I shouldn't say Steam, just consoles right now. And you're locked out of picking up those games. So what happens if you own those games and you're locked out of that store for whatever? Does that mean you lost your money?
I think the telltale sign is there, though, why would you remove those games from the actual store on the web and phone? Like, that actually makes it easier for you to buy those games than making people have to go to their damn consoles that they may not even have anymore, or that they may have like stuck in a box somewhere, or not to mention the PS3 is really slow and like trying to buy stuff off the console is not the easiest thing at the moment.
Yeah,
So, but
true.
I
Yeah,
mean, just yeah,
it really like the PS3 architecture has never been the best, to be
That's
honest.
the understatement.
But the thing I'm more worried about, and like I'm not so much worried about the fact that they take the web store offline, that you can no longer buy the games or anything like that. You know, that's fine. I don't mind that they're removing the ability to buy games that most people wouldn't even bother buying now anyway, or there's stuff on there that they're still selling at full price that you can pick up in a second hand bin for $1. You know, I have no problems with them removing the access to the sales side of things. What I have the problem with is them removing the access completely for even the games that you have bought, or even the DLC that you've got for a game. Like, I'm a big wrestling game guy. I've got a huge collection of wrestling video games. And I quite often go back to like the WWE 12, 13, 14 era, where they have the history of, like, they'll do the history of the Monday Night Wars, they'll do the history of WrestleMania, or just a Stone Cold Steve Austin timeline thing.
Mhm.
And I love going back to those games. I've got all the DLC. I even like going through and sort of updating those older games with the music and everything, because the PlayStation 3 actually allowed you to do that. But the thing for me is if they take access to the DLC offline, then I've now lost access to content that I legally paid for. So I'm now wondering if, say in another 5 or 10 years' time, they turn around and go, we're going to take the PS4 access offline because we're on the PS7 or 8. Does that mean that all 300 plus games, which is like a combination of bought games, PS Plus, and review copies that I've acquired over the years, now I lose access to all of that? It's like, why even bother buying digital if you're not going to keep access to it? I understand that they take things offline all the time, at least sales-wise, because of licensing issues and stuff like that. But the thing is, they've always allowed access to the download. Now we're getting to the point where they're like, we won't let you download this even though you've bought this. So it's like, okay, what about my rights of access as a consumer for something that I have legally purchased?
To be fair, I don't think that story said they don't know if that's included or not. They just not letting you buy anything.
Yeah, which I'm fine with, and I know the story is it's essentially rumor at this point. Like, okay,
Yeah.
the gamer does have has got a good reputation and stuff like that, but still, their source on their own story was, we know a guy who knows a guy inside Sony. This is like saying, oh, my dad worked at Nintendo when you were back in the 80s and nobody could prove shit.
You're right.
You know, there's nothing substantial yet. We haven't heard from Sony about any of this. At the moment, this is hearsay, this is rumor, this is conjecture. But I'm sort of going into the what if scenario now. Is unlike Microsoft, who, because of their backwards compatibility, they're keeping a lot of their online Xbox 360 stuff because it's compatible with their current console. Whereas Sony has been very anti-backwards compatibility. Now they're going to turn around and take, if, and we'll go if in quotation marks, they take away access to the DLC. What legal ramifications is this going to have in a consumer space?
Yeah, and not just that, but just like you said, opening up the floodgates and people getting upset and backlash. This paints a nasty picture for gaming via digital, because it's going to bring it back to the forefront where people are going to go, hey, why am I going to buy a game via digital if there is the possibility that it could go away in the future? And then if you think about this again, there are a lot of games that come out now that are only digital anymore. A lot of games on the Switch, all games on the PC, a lot of games from PlayStation, Xbox are only digital games.
And a lot of indie games that come out.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like every year it's less and less that you have games that come out with a box.
Yep. even though the prices don't go down, and that was what was supposed to happen. No box, no middleman. Hey, cheaper games, but we're still paying $70 for digital games. So that's another conversation for another time. But again, it does leave a lingering thought in a lot of people's minds as to, is digital worth it? To me, to be 100% honest, I don't care about this. I think Sony has a terrible strategy for backwards compatibility and playing older games. They should take a huge clue hint from Microsoft what they're doing. But same time, I have a PlayStation 3. It's sitting here. It's not hooked up. I don't play it anymore. I don't plan on downloading any games from it. I spent a crap ton of money on PlayStation 3 games. Will I care? I mean, I, at this point, don't. I feel that I've got my money's worth and I really don't care. But there are other people who will have a different thought process than I do, and they do care. They want those games and they're entitled to that. It's their money. If I cared more about my PlayStation 3 and if there were games on it that I wanted to play again, but thankfully there's not many because most of them have either got remakes or have come out in some shape or form or another, like Scott Pilgrim finally got a remake or a remaster. So I can play it now on my PC now. I don't care about it on the PlayStation 3 anymore. Well, good riddance. I had a great time. But there are other games on there that I would play a lot that I can't play anymore. I got my Dark Souls or my Demon Souls remaster on my PlayStation 5 now. So if there was another game I don't care anymore about. So it kind of worked itself out. But at the same time, again, if you spent lots of money on games on a PlayStation 3 digital and you want them and maybe they'll go away, maybe they won't, who knows? We don't know yet. Yeah, I can see why people would be upset and backlash. I can see why people doubt the future of gaming when it comes to digital games. But that is going to be the future. We are going to get to a point where physical media is going to be a thing of the past. We're already seeing it now with streaming services. We're seeing it with Xbox Game Pass. We've seen it for decades with the PC. It's just another thing that is going to happen. It's eventual. You can't stop that.
Oh,
Yep,
understand.
Sorry.
Sorry, Sean.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Sean.
Well, but like Steam, they've already shown you that all your stuff's always there. Like you don't have to worry about that with Steam. Like your stuff doesn't get lost. Like this is scary with Sony because it's a game preservation standpoint. From that, it's like they're one of the 3 console makers. Like if they don't keep some way for us to play those games, it almost becomes impossible to play them because like Nintendo, a lot of their old stuff, you can emulate it on any freaking PC there is, and it works mostly fine. Like PlayStation 1 games, for the most part, you can work that on any PC, it works. Once you get to PS2 and PS3, it becomes a lot harder to do on certain PCs or whatever. And even then, a lot of the games don't work. There's certain things that don't work. So it's like the only good way to play those games is either you have to have the console they were on with the disc that you have to overpay to have those games. That's the thing is, okay, fair enough. You say we're going to get to keep the games that we already own. Are we going to be able to download those games for a certain amount of time after? Are we going to, is it going to be cut off after that, whatever date it is that's set? Let's say this happens, right? Like, those PS3s I think a 500 gigabyte. I don't remember whether I have a 500 gig or a 1 terabyte drive on my PS3. I actually took one out and put another one in at one point. Like, even then, even with as much less space as those games took, I still can't download everything that I have for that because that was the only system that allowed you to go and download PS2 and PS1 classics. So I have a lot of old stuff that's not just PS3 games because I came to the PS3 late, like way after, almost close to the time when the PS4 came out. So I don't have this affinity for the PS3 era of games, but I have an affinity for that console because of all the stuff it allowed me to have along with it. And it's like, to me, it's more about, man, look at all these games that people are going to lose access to that you're not even you can't even like emulate and say, okay, here, cool, let me play this. And this is where it's on Sony. You want to say that you're Jim Ryan's possibly coming up with an answer to Game Pass. You're not going to tell me it's PS Plus because that ain't the answer. I'm telling you that right now. Giving me one game a month, I don't care if it's a good one or not. It's not the answer to Game Pass. It never will be.
Yeah.
You're still making people pay $70 for games. That does not answer that. If you're telling me you're giving me an answer to Game Pass, you better take as many as you can. I know they can't do all of them. I know that's impossible because Microsoft couldn't do it with them, with the Xbox or Xbox 360. Take as many of those dang games as you can and put them on PS Now and make them downloadable. Don't do that streaming bullshit because that doesn't work either. So especially Sony, they have terrible streaming quality. But like, you got to do something because that's awful that all those games are just going to go away like that.
Exactly, yeah. And like going back to your thing about game preservation, I'm a big retro gaming guy. I'm a big game preservation guy. I recently, I sold my PS3 to help get my PS4. I've gone back over the last few years and I have rebought a lot of what I have had on the PS3 and more, just because the games have been cheap secondhand. So as the second they turn around and say, okay, access to the PlayStation Network, whether it's selling or whatever, that's going to make that secondhand market skyrocket. Like, I don't know what it's so much like in over there in America, but here in Australia, I can't get anything pre PS3 era for cheap. Like PS2 games are now averaging anywhere between 50 to 150 Australian dollars.
Good freaking Lord.
Depending on what the game is. PS1 games are now $100 plus minimum. Super Nintendo 64, forget about it. Just don't even bother trying. And even Nintendo games, I see copies of Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, the game that was included with every Nintendo system, now going anywhere from 50 to 80, 100, 80 to, start again, 50 to 80 Australian dollars per cartridge. Like, it's horrible. Now, I've gone through, and I'm going to be terribly honest here, I have always been honest. I have gone through with my older consoles, and I have found a way to modify them to play downloads that I can get off the internet. My PS2 has a hard drive in it that has probably about 100 games on it that gets done through the memory card soft hack. I've got a PlayStation 1 that has a mod chip, and all my games are ones that I've downloaded off the internet and burnt on the CDs. All my cartridge-based consoles, my Nintendo 64, my Super Nintendo, my Game Boy, all run those little cartridges that run an SD card. Why? Because I can't buy any of this stuff in my own country without having to be a goddamn millionaire. And staying honest, I recently, as soon as I heard this rumor, I took one of the PS3s that we have a couple of them in the house, and I went and I did a jailbreak on it so I could run games that I download.
I've been thinking about doing that. I think my PlayStation 3 though might be too far ahead with the firmware to do it. I might be wrong.
We will talk about that after because I can tell you how. But like, that's the thing. It's like once we lose access to these archives and stuff legally, piracy starts going through the roof. And like you said, it's one thing to emulate a product, but it's a completely different thing to use the actual hardware itself.
Well, let me ask you a question. This is a hypothetical and a theoretical question. Is it really considered piracy if you're actually getting access to the games that you own but can no longer access?
No, it's not.
That's gray area. That you can, depending on your country's piracy laws, you can get away with I have a physical version, but I have a copy saved on my computer because it's a backup, just so I don't have to use the disc because of, in the case of like CD or DVD based consoles, I don't want to wear out the laser in the reader. It's just easier for me to put it on a hard drive. It's a legal gray area in most countries. Once you lose access to it and you're running primarily on a secondhand market, again, it's a bit of a gray area because the secondhand market has always been a gray market. It's
Well, I don't really
just
care
been
about
a
the second.
legally defined gray market.
I don't even care about second market. I don't even care about talking about owning and selling. I'm talking about having it legitly owning, and that's it. Again, only with the digital games. I own it. I lost access to it because of Sony discontinuing.
There's no precedent set for such a thing, and that's the problem here. Is if Sony does turn around and say you don't have access to what you have paid for, now we're going to end up having governments and legal turn around and say, hold on, wait a minute, we need to check each country's consumer protection policies. I know here in Australia we have a very strong consumer protection policy that states if you pay for something, you're meant to have access to it.
Yeah, I love that.
If you don't have access to it, then guess what? You have to either be offered a refund or some sort of compensation for that loss of access. So Sony needs to really step carefully, especially here in Australia. If they cut off our access to all the DLC, I would like to go through my account, find out how much I spent retail for all that DLC, not current prices, what I paid for it originally, and they better give me a refund for every single dollar, or else you're going to find there's going to be big lawsuits coming out of my country if they shut it down. But if they turn around and say, look, we're just taking down the sales side and you still have access, you can still download all this, fine, not a problem. It means that what I have done with one of my PS3s is technically, while it is still technically legal to modify the console in my country, downloading games for the sake of playing them without actually having the physical disc myself, then I'm doing something illegal. But again, it comes down to what Sony chooses to do in this situation.
We won't tell on you. You're fine.
Yeah.
No, I just blew it all out on a podcast that saves the YouTube for prosperity. It can be used against me in legal terms.
True that. Oh well,
Sounds
better
fun.
hide then. Better hide. All right, let's go ahead and jump.
Hey, America, try it. It doesn't work.
Let's jump to the next topic. We're gonna skip one. We're gonna go right to Microsoft and Discord because we're like an hour in. Holy crap! I didn't think we were that far in, but yeah, almost an hour in. So there's a rumor, maybe legit, who knows? Nobody can say for sure that Microsoft is planning on acquiring Discord for one reason or another. Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun topic. Can I go first?
Go for it.
So I think this is dumb because Microsoft has lost a lot of respect from me in regards to them being a component in the social media space, mainly because of what they did with Mixer. They had a great product. They decided not to stick with it. They gave up and they made some bad decisions, a lot of bad managerial decisions, and they really hurt the community. A lot of people left major places like Twitch and YouTube because they weren't happy and they were happy with Mixer. And then Mixer died and they had to go back. Some people just stopped streaming altogether. So when it comes to Microsoft possibly owning Discord, I'm kind of confused as to why they would want to do this other than get back into the social platform space. Microsoft owns no skin in the game when it comes to Discord. It doesn't need to be something exclusive to the Xbox platform. Not saying that it would, if it would, but we've all seen what happened with this with Bethesda and what's happening with it in the future. And they've been pretty frank saying that hey, most of our stuff will be on our Xbox platform. So there's this. So my one fear is if Microsoft picks up Discord, would they change this to something just being Microsoft related? I don't think they would, but future or not future past events kind of bothered me. At the same time, as I mentioned, they don't have any skin in the game with this because this is something that they don't need to actually own. Discord is used everywhere: PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and people everywhere, every freaking where. We even use it at work for business because we don't like some of the other applications out there. It doesn't need to be owned by a PlayStation or a Microsoft or Nintendo. Now, if they want to get Discord integrated to their platforms, I don't know what's been stopping them over the past couple of years. I don't think Discord is on any platform. Correct me if I'm wrong, other than obviously PC. It's not on Switch. It's not on PlayStation. So there's that. I mean, obviously, there's something that needs to be said about integrating that to platforms. Yeah, that's a big yes. But I don't think Microsoft needs to own it. And at the same time, Microsoft already has one of the biggest social media, social content, social networking platforms out there with Slack. Say what you want about Slack, but Slack is popular. Slack is used everywhere. Slack is used in business. People use it for gaming. We use it for gaming once upon a time ago until they decided to raise their pricing. There's nothing to stop Microsoft from adding a gaming version of Slack, adding gaming features to Slack, and going from there. I don't see this being a good thing if Microsoft picks up Discord when they already own Slack. They're not going to discontinue Slack because Slack is used in so many businesses and people are paying for that and it's tied into their Office 365. So what does that mean? Does that mean that maybe Slack could get purchased and then pushed to consoles or maybe removed completely? I don't like that aspect of them picking that up. I don't like it at all. Okay, I'm done.
You want to go? You want to go with my theory?
Go for it.
All right. So Microsoft is just dancing around the idea of buying Slack because there's probably another buyer who wants to buy Slack. Perhaps, I'll throw it out there, Gabe Newell. Perhaps it is someone like Twitch or someone else, because Discord is used in so many aspects of gaming and people's lives. There is probably a third party person who want to purchase and use it. Microsoft is probably throwing their hand in it just to spoil it so someone else cannot buy it, so leave them neutral to protect it just in case one day they may retire Slack and make Discord, or buy Discord to integrate to Slack, or 3, they spoiling it so in competition member can't get it. That's just what I'm leaning towards. Because there's no reason for them to buy it. There's no reason for them to buy it from my big brain thinking through. There's no reason. Oh yeah, let's buy it for what?
That kind of seems childish, though. To me, that seems childish.
That seems childish. That seems childish. Have you seen companies do this? There was a bidding war to get the special medicine. I don't know if we get banned for saying that. So come on.
I mean, they did try to buy TikTok and did try to buy Pinterest last year. So it's not like they haven't tried to be buying companies recently, or social media companies recently.
What the hell is Microsoft going to use TikTok for?
To get the Zoomer kids.
TikTok was to keep it, was to do the whole number Trump was going to block it because it had Chinese.
Trump. Yeah,
right. That joke. But
I mean, the whole idea apparently that's being talked about is that it would be included into Game Pass Ultimate, making
but it's free.
But it would have whatever's in the Nitro package, which I don't use Discord, so
there's nothing. There's nothing
Yeah.
to use in the Nitro package. Nothing.
Like you're saying, Keith, other than just wanting to integrate it, because let's face it, like Skype failed itself by never innovating and then just being ridiculous.
Yeah.
So like, unless they wanted to use it to just kill Skype and make it to where Discord is now their platform that they know everybody uses, so they have so many different people that use it, so they won't lose folks like Skype, and that they have something that already works, so it's not going to get ruined. I don't know. Other than just wanting to have it because it's a huge thing and it's something that has a name, I don't really see the point of owning it either. It's not like a Bethesda where this really helps your gaming division. I don't see the point of why does this help like anything. I mean, like TikTok I can kind of get. Like, you're making all the TikTok's like having other YouTube basically. So that kind of makes sense, but like I don't understand why you would really need Discord. Like,
I mean, it's in so many ways, without going into it, Slack is it's superior to Discord in many ways. It's like you mentioned Skype, but it's like Microsoft could have killed Skype years ago. They just don't want to get rid of it. They have Slack. Slack could have easily got rid of Skype. We wouldn't have cared. Most people are now using Slack over Skype. It's an afterthought. It's a program that they, like you mentioned, haven't updated, has not evolved, and should be gone. But yet they keep it hangs around for what reason or another. I don't know. Well, I'm sorry. I keep saying I'm sorry, and I keep saying Slack. Microsoft owns Slack. I'm sorry. Microsoft owns Microsoft has Teams, which is pretty much Slack. I had to correct myself. Microsoft Teams and Slack are pretty much the same freaking thing.
Yeah, I mean it's the same reason. It's the reason why they made Teams is so
Exactly to
they
compete
could
against
have their
Slack.
competition to Slack.
So it's like, why? Why do you? The logical part of me doesn't make any sense.
The only thing that I could think of is to buy its architecture.
Exactly, as I mentioned before.
Is to buy the codes, because, like, I had to use Teams for my online learning when the pandemic hit and everything else, and I'll be honest, it was crap. It was terrible. Like, some of the worst coding I'd ever seen when it came to the software. And what we use here in Discord, especially for video conferences, it is probably the second best online one I've seen. The best one being obviously Zoom. But, like, I just don't, like, financially, I don't see a reason for them to do it unless it's they want to buy the code so they can integrate that into either Teams or, like you said, maybe phase out Slack and turn Teams into Discord, or
not
turn
Slack
Discord into Team.
Not Slack, because Slack is a different company. I kept saying Slack, and I should have been saying Teams, so I did confuse you. But Slack and Teams, they're pretty much the same damn thing. They are the same thing.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think about why they would be doing this, is to get the coding and all the features that Discord has, and bring it in under the Teams branding. Like, get rid of Discord as a brand and just go, oh, guess what? This is Microsoft Teams now, and just go, like, change the title and go, haha, look at the right things we did.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the thing. That's what I mentioned before. Either they're going to do the spoiler strategy, which, as you mentioned, childish, is actually common business practice to do because they can't afford it now to pretend, or B, they want to integrate into their own system. They will just call they own Teams. It would just be Microsoft Teams with Discord technology. Haha, why make it if you can buy it? That's really serious, guys. Why make something if you just buy it?
I mean, to be honest, Microsoft is a massive company. They've designed their own products. They've emulated countless products. They don't need to own Discord's code to emulate what Discord does.
If that was the case, Keith, this is me being seriously pragmatic, they would have made a better version of what they had years ago. If that was the case. Because the idea of business communications, at least in the field I'm very, very fluent understanding, you want to have the best product available at all times because you're moving to people. There has been a move from Teams, at least 12% over this quarter, to moving to Google, to moving to other non-Microsoft software.
Well, that's because of practices and also because of packages and because of integration of the products. So that's a big part too. And Office 365, which Teams is part of, it's freaking expensive.
Exactly. There has been a move from that across the board, as well as when it comes to business density, and a lot of some other sectors have adopted other modes of it. I know the medical community uses a bit more of Slack and Google Hangout. Tech community just use Google. So
because it's free, because it's free, but that's going away. So they got to think about that. Hangouts has been supposed to be going away for years, but it's still here.
Yeah, we're going to lose Hangout, anytime soon. But the thing is that, to me, is like, when it comes to business density, they try to reclaim the market and do what they do, is that they got to have the best product to maximize what they want. So to have the best product, they might as well just take someone else up and just integrate to them. That's the best. Even though they could make it, it's just easier to buy it from somebody else. Like,
I'm just worried. I'm sorry. I just don't think they do it. They don't need it. They don't need it.
I personally don't think they're doing it. I think they're doing the spoiler strategy, because if someone else purchases it, it would hurt them a lot more, especially if there's another one within the business communication sector. If, like, if Cisco purchases it, or if Citrix, GoToMeeting, etc., those guys purchase it, they're in trouble.
But that's my thing. How is it going to hurt you guys when you don't? It doesn't affect you directly. You don't own any skin in it. If Discord disappeared right now, it's not going to hurt Microsoft.
No. But if Discord disappears, they made a company called Business Cord, and then start selling the profits like 30% margin less than Microsoft, they'd be in trouble.
I could see if they were in direct competition, but I mean, just for Discord, there are even companies that won't allow you to use Discord because they consider it gaming, and their border routers, because I've had a couple people complain about this, don't let them do it.
Sometimes it is better to prop up and make goodwill gestures to one company that will pay off later on than it is to try and direct competition with somebody else. Okay, like, I know this is going to sound weird to you, Keith, because you don't really follow wrestling, but this, I understand what Matt's going with, mainly because this reminds of the World Wrestling Federation, or WWE as they are now, propping up a little company known as ECW, giving them payments, helping them basically starve off either shutting down or being bought out by the rival competitor WCW by giving micropayments or setting up like a protection wall around this smaller company, that when the company did turn around and say, hey, we're ready to sell, Vince McMahon and the WWF turned around and said, hey, we'll pay you X amount on top of what we've already given you to buy out your company. And that's essentially what could be happening here, is that Microsoft is going to Discord, hey, look, we'll put out this thing saying that we're going to go and buy you, and we might even pay you a little bit under the table to keep you guys up and running, and starve off, Google or whoever else wants to buy you. We're going to make it look like we're going to buy you just to protect you. And who knows, when you guys are ready to sell, maybe you look at selling to us for a lesser amount.
Yeah, because we have the lights on.
We're here to help you, buddy boy. We're here to be your friend.
Yeah, your friend.
In reality, they're looking to set up something down the line to buy them at a better price.
Basically.
I don't know. I just think it's a weird situation. Microsoft,
It's
if they're considering,
common.
they need to step out. They just need to step out. They again, for me, I'm just saying what I believe. They don't have any stake in this. They should just stop.
Let me give you a perfect example. McDonald's had no stake making fried chicken sandwiches, but they did it anyway because they used to be a burger joint. But just put that in perspective, Keith. You always want to expand your market diversity. Just put that out there. You may have no stake in it, but it's good to do it.
No, I see that, but that's competition, because that's competition against people to make chicken patties, whatever, or directly with, would you use Chick-fil-A? That's direct competition. Discord sits in a space that is usable by everybody. It doesn't hurt you if you don't own it.
Would it be better if I owned it, Keith?
Not if people say, hey, we saw what you did with your other stuff and we're not going to use it anymore. Goodbye.
It depends. You can always own it and just say it's someone else. It's called propping it up. I mean, these are common strategies. I'm not trying to be.
I get that, but you can't hide that. If Microsoft buys it, everybody's going to know that Microsoft owns it, and vice versa. It's just no different than what Comcast tried to do. I don't know if you know what Comcast is.
Yeah.
Remember how bad their reputation was? So they went, Xfinity by Comcast. Everybody's like, it's still Comcast, dude. What the hell are you trying to tell us? It's the same crappy service. We know who you are. Stop trying to hide.
Brand recognition is still a thing as well.
Yeah.
So,
they changed Xfinity. It's still Comcast. Also.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But at the same time, you can turn around and have a company buy out another one, keep the brand name, and people go, oh, yeah, well, it's still this brand name, so obviously they must still have either the developers or the people behind it involved in the company, so we'll keep using this thing.
I don't know, man. All I'm saying is Mixer has me sour about Microsoft doing stuff and saying they're going to do stuff, and then they don't do it.
Bethesda purchase.
I think that was a good purchase for a number of reasons.
Yeah, but you don't think that that's going to go downhill in a couple of years? Look what happened with Rare. But, Microsoft bought them, but Rare's still a great company, has a great reputation. They weren't doing anything wrong with their games.
Rare was shit before Microsoft bought them. That's just to be fair. They were already shit.
They were still coming off some of the best games of their era when they were bought.
They haven't done anything prior to Microsoft purchasing them.
They haven't done anything really good either, but afterwards either. But look, I know it doesn't make sense. You're seeing this, and you're seeing from your text point of view that there's no point to it. from a business and marketing standpoint, it is probably one of the best moves that they could try and make, or at least pretend to try and make.
Pretend.
Right. Because perception, my friend. If Microsoft to buy it, the other people who may be actually interested in buying Discord may dip out.
Do we even know anybody else who's interested in Discord?
There's been a lot of word going around over the last year that the guys behind Discord are looking to sell up and move on. So it could be that this is one of those things of that process. Microsoft's come along and said, "Hey, we want to buy you because we heard you were interested in selling." And they're like, "Yeah, we might ride this out and see what other offers." But Microsoft's going, "Well, we're going to put out a press release and scare off the market."
But that's what I'm saying though. Has there been anybody in the running outside of Microsoft? Because I haven't heard of anybody.
In prior years, from I hope it's not insider trading. I know that Cisco and Citrix were interested in buying.
Cisco shouldn't touch.
Citrix.
Citrix doesn't need it. Citrix is fine. Citrix doesn't need it. They don't need it. That's
Like I
not
said,
even in their market.
Technically, nobody needs it. It's do you want that brand? Do you want that recognition? Do you want that market share that's in there? Like you say, a lot of people still use Slack and Teams and stuff like that. But the thing is, a majority of the standard public, not just gamers. I'm talking even like gaming. A lot of it's gaming people. A lot of it's streaming people. Even sites like ourselves, we use it. This is probably the more widely known branding for community-based interaction.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. It's fairly.
And who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that brand, that recognition, that faith? And to be honest, from a tech standpoint, who wouldn't want all that lovely, lovely data and those signups and the information that you get out of people on these type of programs? Oh, that's a cybersecurity wet dream, my friend.
No, that's lawsuit you mean right there. That's what Facebook is going through right now for doing that shit and selling people's stuff.
Oh, not even for sales, just buying all that information. Oh,
and do what with it? You can't legally use it. You're not allowed to sell that shit.
No, but well, you ever read a terms and conditions contract?
Yeah, and it says if you don't agree, don't use it. Or there's been companies like Facebook where you said, I don't want you selling my data. And they went around and sold people's data, which is why they're in hot water. I know.
That's for the cost of the side.
Yeah. All I'm saying is this. I get your points. All these points are valid. I'm not saying anybody's wrong at all. I'm worrisome because of how the model of Discord works. And if a company like Microsoft was to pick it up, they're going to want either, okay, great, brand recognition is one thing. I got it. But Microsoft is going to want to make a profit. And Discord is weird because it is a free service. You don't have to pay to use Discord. They make their money other ways. Or you can use Nitro and get some added features and go from there. How does that benefit you other than brand recognition? It's just like with YouTube and Google. YouTube has been and always will be a detriment to Google. It does not make enough money to justify its existence for what they offer people for free. But yet Google holds on to it because it is the biggest video on demand service in the known world. There's that. But they make their money in the background. They've added dumb things that doesn't work. YouTube Red, YouTube Music, and other various things. I don't want to see that happen in the Discord. It's like the people champion becoming the heel. There you go. I use one of the terms you guys will understand 100% there. That's my fear.
I don't know. Some heels can be cool. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, but all seriousness, I understand. But at the same time, it's like, it really depends if the rumors are true and if other companies are willing to get, because Discord provides a service, not just gaming, to other communities, from many gardens to even normal people. There's tons of business Discords. There's political discourse, philosophy Discord. There is comics Discord. There's so much Discourse, the things that are not related to gaming, that it's like this is a gold mine for someone want to tap into that. People just drop a little marketing on them, you know.
Fair enough. That's all. Again, I've already said my piece. I've talked way too much. I know somebody wants to stab me now, but that's just how I feel about it. So,
No, I
if
understand, but it's you gotta think about the not the who benefits from it. What is the ultimate benefit of putting the information out there? So is it if it's a stab off other people, that's a good thing to do because I don't feel comfortable with someone else buying Discord. If it's just for Discord it's a Microsoft Discord to make that under the table handshake, it is what it is.
anybody else got anything else to say about that before we move on to the last topic? Take silence as a no. All right, so we're about what 4 or 5 months in from the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S being available for public consumption, with the exception of out of stock and those lovely people that like to buy stuff up. I won't say their names because I don't want to give them any credit or anything of that recognition. However, there's a question that keeps popping up on the internet and also at my barbershop apparently about, are the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S worth it? I know I own them. Carl owns them. Sean, do you have either of the two?
I have both of them.
Okay. So, Matt, you're the eyeball on this one. Sean, do you think, would you recommend anybody to buy either the platform right now?
It depends on what you're looking for, right? If you
anything.
If you really want to play one of the launch PS5 games, sure. If you feel like you can wait to play those whenever it is you have another game that you really care about that comes out, no. And the Series X, I don't think that you need to buy right now, or Series S, unless you're one of those people that doesn't have an Xbox at all and wants Game Pass. Then that would be the reason I think that you would want to go buy one of those systems, is to have Game Pass on a console, because PC a lot of times gets console Game Pass games late or never. So, that's the thing I would say is Xbox actually has a reason why you could buy their system because of Game Pass, whereas unless you're really raring for one of these PS5 games that came out at launch, even if they came out on a PS4, because they are like Miles Morales, for example, was way better on a PS5, get that. But if there's something that's not coming out for a while, you could hold off on a PS5 to, like, say, maybe Ratchet and Clank to June,
Yeah.
which we may still not get PS5s be available very much by then.
Oh, we're not getting them anytime soon.
Yeah.
For various reasons. Yeah. So your answer is a no to Xbox and yes to PlayStation 5.
I would say, yeah, no, unless you're like raring for Game Pass. Then yeah.
All right. Carl, what are your thoughts on the matter, sir?
Yeah, I found the initial sort of offerings very lackluster, to be honest. Since getting my PS5, the only things I have actually played that are PS5 games, like Sean said, Miles Morales, bought that day one on the PS5 because it was definitely going to be the better addition out there with all the technical bits and bobs that they added to the game. And yes, 10 times better than anything that looks on the PS4. I played Demon Souls because Keith bought it for me and said, here, you finally have no reason not to play this. Until I died and went, fuck this shit. But other than that, I have found absolutely nothing. Even with the stuff that has like the free upgrades or whatever, I don't find any reason to play it. Like to play the console. It now has become a $750 Australian glorified streaming machine. Like, it's what we watch our Netflix on and our Disney Plus on. That's the main use of the console now. And I find that pretty sad because I want to be able to get the best out of this system. And there's just nothing coming out that is making me go, I have to get this because it's on PS5. The next big game that I'm looking forward to buying, at least on the bigger consoles, is Resident Evil Village. And I'm going to get the PS4 version because, well, one, it comes with the PS5 upgrade, and you're getting the same experience that you're going to get on the PS4 as you're going to get on the PS5.
And cheaper.
For cheaper, right?
Yep.
Well, if you call 110 Australian cheaper instead of a 124.95, which is the standard PS5 price here.
Okay, over here, it's cheaper. Yes, it's cheaper.
2 times.
Yeah, Australia tax is a terrible, terrible thing. But the Xbox Series X, man, I regret buying that now.
Oh, wow.
Like, outside of Xbox Game Pass, which 99% of the games that you run on the console work on the old Xbox, which I could have kept, which had a larger hard drive and everything else, and still outputs pretty much the same graphical output. You know, I didn't need to buy this thing. Like, I honestly do regret buying the Xbox at this point. Like, I love Game Pass. I love playing games on the game via Game Pass. But there is nothing that is sort of screaming, you must buy this on the Xbox Series X in order to play it on the Xbox Series X. Like, the only physical game that I have bought for the Xbox in the last 12 months has been Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I could have picked up on PS4 or PS5, or the game would have run just as well on my Xbox One. So I honestly just feel like the launch of this console generation has been absolutely terrible. There's this very minimal stuff that, from a gameplay perspective, that you couldn't have gotten on the previous year's consoles and still had as much fun. If you want to go for the 4K with the ray tracing and everything else, like Miles Morales, which I would recommend that, yeah, then get one of these consoles. But gameplay-wise, you won't need to pick up one of these consoles for another 2 to 3 years, easily, if not longer.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing really out there that sounds like it's going to be worth getting. Like, maybe Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart might be the only game on the PS5 that is just PS5 only that you're going to get. But they could have put that on the PS4 and given you the exact same experience from what I've seen.
I mean, I think we're going to see once we play that game what makes it a PS5 game. I think it's difficult to be able to judge that just on video and all that. But so I will say I love the crap out of Astrobot. Or not Astrobot, Astro's Playroom. So that
Astro's Playroom is absolute gold. I love that thing. I recommend it. It's the free game on PS5, and it's like, it is such a nostalgia trip that I'm like, yeah, you got to jump on that. The second you get your PS5, that should be the first thing you put up.
I will say, like, as somebody that went through what you did, I had Yakuza Like a Dragon for 2 weeks on an Xbox One. Then I got my Series X. You notice the graphical upgrade. You notice the load time improvements by a lot, obviously. But yeah, the game doesn't run that much differently on either console. So I honestly, if it wasn't because I started playing the Outriders demo because of it coming to Game Pass, and because of the Medium and Cyber Shadow coming to Game Pass that have come out this year, outside of Yakuza, I wouldn't have touched the console again. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you.
Outriders is definitely that game that's going to bring me back to the Xbox, only because it's on Game Pass.
All right. Well, I guess I will jump in, and I will just say this. I don't think either console is worth buying right now. And that's from playing God knows how many hours of Demon Souls and various other games. Right now, it simply is not a must have. There's not enough content out there on either platform to justify either console. And like you mentioned, Sean, Ratchet and Clank comes out in June, and that's probably going to be the first or first legit PlayStation 5 game. I would say Miles Morales 5 or Miles Morales Spider-Man, but that is more of a side game. It's not a full game. It's more of an expansion that got a full release. So I don't count that. That's it. That's literally it. On the Xbox side, there hasn't been a single freaking game that has justified owning the console. Not a one. And I have not touched it outside of doing some comparisons with the games on Xbox Series X versus my PC. And this goes back to the conversation that we've had many times, Carl, that if you own a decent gaming PC, then there was no reason to buy an Xbox Series X. And that's just more proof that there is no reason to have it. Not a one. Will it be that way in the future? Well, Microsoft, again, as I said before, kind of shot themselves in the foot with saying, hey, we're going to bring out these games for the PC and Xbox. And I know it's very hard for them to say otherwise, not to do it, because people are going to go, just like we saw with Outriders coming to Xbox Game Pass for Xbox, but not for the PC. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You know, Microsoft has a dilemma, as in, how do I make this console attractive to people who own a decent gaming PC? Short of not putting those games onto the PC. I don't want to be Microsoft right now. I said that when they first announced this, and we have back and forth conversations, that this is going to be a problem in the future. And here we go. It's a problem right now. I love Xbox Game Pass.
But I think what you're talking about is I own I would say decent, but I would say I still have problems running certain games. Like, I don't want to go and upgrade a PC or go buy another PC. The one I have is fine. I'm a primarily console gamer. I think there is still a lot of people that are like that don't want to go get a PC that can run a lot of stuff and then worry about if it's still going to be able to play the same games a year later. Like,
No,
I
that's
don't think
fine.
that's as big a problem as you make it out to be.
Well, no, that's the thing. There are different people in this camp. And right, the conversation we were having is people who do have a PC and people who don't. And I'm pretty sure you've seen a conversation of people saying, hey, I have a decent gaming PC. Should I get this console?
No, don't.
Yeah, but even taking this out of the take PC out of the equation for a minute. Just looking at things from pure gaming and console gaming standpoint,
and that's how it was going at the beginning.
Both companies have stagnated in their own way.
Yes.
Microsoft has sort of stagnated because they're relying heavily on Game Pass to sell their consoles. But Sony hasn't done anything to either combat Game Pass, or they just haven't got the game ready for the launch lineup.
I'm not even going to add Game Pass to the equation. It's just they don't have the games, and I'm not adding Game Pass to the Xbox.
Neither company has games right now that fully take advantage of the consoles,
and that's it right
anything
there.
that says you need to own this console in order to play.
And that's the thing right there. Not adding PC to the conversation. That was just something I tossed in there. But when I talk to people, like a good example is, as I mentioned before we got into this, is when I go to the barbershop. People know that I'm a gamer. They know that I deal with a lot of this stuff. And every time I go to the barbershop, they ask me, is it worth buying these consoles? I had them ask me today, and I told them, no, there is nothing available right now that I know any of you guys are going to play. Then there's always the person who says, what about NBA 2K? Okay, what about that? You can get it on all the freaking platforms. You can get it on Xbox One, PlayStation 4 right now. You don't need to buy a new console to play this game unless you want to spend extra money for extra bells and whistles. If you don't want to do that, there's no reason for you right now to buy this. The only saving grace for the Xbox Series X and S right now is that you can play your older games on those consoles.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it.
And they look better. And they're better.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if I'm in the market to buy a new console, I'm not going to go buy an Xbox One or an Xbox One X when I could possibly even get a hold of an Xbox Series S, which runs circles around those consoles, and you can still play the older games on them. You can't do that with PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5.
Oh.
You can't do that with an Xbox. You can't do it with a PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. So Microsoft has that backwards compatibility. So they do have that ace in their pocket. But when I buy a new console, I don't care about the old games. Yes, they're great to play. Fantastic, lovely, great. I want to play new stuff. And right now, they don't have it.
But I think, to be fair, also, we've had a lot of stuff delayed this year because of COVID or Cyberpunk or whatever other reason you want to put out there.
Craig.
And I think it's...
See?
But... No, I mean, it's true. It's either one of those two reasons. I mean, now you can blame COVID, but what really is what it is Cyberpunk. But what I'm saying is that, like, there's part of that. And it's also, I mean, on Sony's side, a lot of their big games come out in the last few years. So now they're having to rev up the machine again to go to this new generation, with the first one being Horizon. And that one's still going to come out on PS4 as well, because, they don't believe in the generations they say they do. And then, for Xbox, they bought these studios and they're just now getting going, really. So, like, you're just having to play the waiting game with both of these. And the third parties also haven't really been... They've had to also deal with not only the delays, but also just, well, do we want to drop these older consoles? Because we don't know how many people are going to be able to buy these new consoles, and look what's been happening.
We actually got
everything else.
We actually got into an argument, heated debate about this not too long ago about that, about these developers dropping the older platforms because they don't want to move to the new platforms, or that because people simply can't buy them right now. And the more we go into this year, and the more people or Sony is saying, Microsoft is saying that making these consoles are going to be a problem because we simply don't have the silicone anymore. We're in a bad situation for all sorts of technology related things. Consoles, PCs, video cards, CPUs, cars. We're in a bad situation right now. Say again, Matt. You kind of far away, or your mic is being weird.
Sorry, as I was saying, it's as if we're forcing the economy to produce things that we don't need excessively, only to have them at market for some magical reasons. As if this is overproduction or saturation. Perhaps we're in this thing called a recession.
That doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? $1,400 is enough to pay your bills.
You know what? If you weren't joking right now, I'll wring your neck.
But that's what they're telling us. All politics aside, seriously.
But all seriousness, it's just bad precedent to bring this up. It's like, oh man, no one's buying a PS5, an Xbox. No one is. The developers don't want to make new games on these consoles. I don't know, because the cost is high. There isn't a good time to do it. You just try to force the hand in the market for things that happen. It's not happening. I don't see an increase in sales or an increase in sales for both consoles until, I want to say, early 2022, late 2022, or early 2023. I'm being very serious. I don't see it because no,
it's legit. No, that's legit. That's what they're saying. That is exactly what they're saying.
Yeah. So I don't see a world where, I can see them collecting dust unless they're willing to, like, let's see, what's the next big sale they'll have? End of summer or Black Friday sale, Christmas sale. They drop the console price down by 100 bones.
They don't need to drop the price right now because you still don't have a mass amount of people that are going to be able to buy this yet.
Here's the thing. You want people to buy the shit. If you want to buy it, you'll be able to bite the bullet. If you don't want, you want to keep dust, eat inventory, that's the plan. You leave them as is.
People are willing to pay the $500 price. That's not the problem here.
Yeah, Matt, people were paying more than that, buying them off the scalpers off eBay.
Well, that's the thing.
They're paying it.
That is the first to own market. That is the in-crowd market.
No, that's the general market. That's mum and dads who are trying to buy the console for their little spawns, and they're buying off the scalpers at 3 times the price because they want to buy it. The market has dictated that people are willing to pay these prices. It is still way, way too early for a price drop. Even if people like yourself who know markets and stuff like that say I'm happy to wait until a price drop. Most price drops don't happen until the 1.5 to 2 year point of the console. Now we're going to have to push that out by an even further year because of the pandemic and also the scarcity of the chip shortage and all of that type of stuff. So the price is not going to go down anytime soon, no matter what people may want or think. It's not going down because it's going to stay high for quite a while.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised we don't
They've
see a
already
price
got
drop
enough
in
demand
5
for this
years.
stuff.
There's
Right,
no
but-
reason for it.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, like, put it from perspective. If they want to get rid of product, which it's up to them. I don't think they want to. There's probably not. They could do that. Probably not going to, because as you just pointed out, the scarcity, good old scarcity, comes around every couple times. So scarcity comes in. They're going to force the price to go up, and et cetera, or force the price to be what it is. But to hear them like, man, why aren't people buying it? I'm like, bro, come on.
No, they're not saying it. They're not
Oh,
saying it at all.
they're not saying
Yeah.
that. No. They're perfectly content with what it is.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I don't see an increase of users or people owning it by the end of 2022, early 2023.
Well, again,
Yeah, but
because
the
it's a
thing
number of
is-
things.
The
Go ahead,
thing is, it's not that people don't want to buy it. People want to buy the console constantly.
It's not
the-
the fact that people
yeah.
don't want to buy it. It's
Yeah.
the availability to buy it with their current resources, which creates resource scarcity with income. That's what I'm referring to. Not referring to. Yeah.
It's more than just that, though, Matt. Also, again, the outlier, the secondary factor, again, is the scalpers.
Yeah. They're existing. I mean, it's just like
If I would say the market would be in a better place right now if there weren't scalpers. We didn't have that problem in the past, and even with a reception, even with scarcity of product, even with scarcity of resources, if the scalpers were not there, because they've had many reports where they're buying stuff and they're stockpiling stuff to sell to people. You can literally imagine houses full of PlayStation 5s, Xbox Series X's, and video cards literally just sitting there waiting for people to buy it top dollar. And people say it doesn't hurt the market, and I disagree. Sony doesn't care, Microsoft doesn't care, Nvidia doesn't care, because at the end of the day, they made their money. They're happy.
Right.
But the problem that's going to hurt everybody in the long run is the developers are going to go, well, should we develop this game for PlayStation 5 or should we keep making it for PlayStation 4 because we know that people don't own this console? We want our money. They take hits on hardware. Sony, developers don't, or publishers don't take hit on software. They want their money. And right now, the logical choice is to continue making games for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One because people can't get the other ones. But that also means that the reason to own a console isn't there anymore. If you're going to give me this game on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and I know I can get it for the PlayStation 4, then what is the point of developers going, well, we're going to put more money into making this game look and run great on this console when we know people aren't going to buy it?
And
Ultimately, it hurts everybody.
to be honest, we have like really strayed far away from the original point of the topic, which was it as people like three out of the four of us here on this panel have basically got both consoles, and it's one of those things of looking at this since it has launched. We're starting to push the 6-month mark, even without taking in factors like the chip shortage, console scarcity, the scalpers, etc. Do we think that the console itself is actually something that is worth buying at this point of time? And we've all pretty much agreed that it hasn't been a great launch, that the lack of games has actually created a point where it's like, what was the point of doing a console launch without the launch lineup that we were promised, and two, that we were given, are two completely different things, and it has hurt those consoles. Like, you don't see people going, oh yeah, I got a PlayStation 5 and it's the best thing ever, rah rah rah. You hear people going, okay, I got my PS5 finally. Where's the games?
I don't think we strayed away. I think we're trying to ration out, but we all answered the question. No, they're not worth it.
Well, I think the whole idea has been, well, everybody get your backlog ready because you're going to tear through it. That's what you're gonna do.
Go through that pile of shame, unless it's on a PlayStation 3, in which case Sony might kill it next week.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, like
it's a
that's the
shame.
thing is, that's what I will say is that, if you're somebody that isn't having to constantly play new things like maybe we are or whatever, and you do have to worry about like, oh, I have to buy every single little thing and have to worry about what I'm buying. Well, this does let you go back and play stuff you haven't played while you're figuring out, okay, which one of these games do I really want to buy? And I think it still does, even though every video that I keep seeing of Returnal makes me keep maybe thinking about, is it worth $70? It does let you wonder, okay, do I pick up Returnal? Are there going to be a lot of people picking up Returnal?
Can I
because
just add
they
something real
want
quick to
PS5
that?
game?
Can I
Yeah.
add something real quick, Sean? No game is worth $70. This is ridiculous.
I stand by that. Yep, nothing. Sorry.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. The game hike, the price increase for game hike has really been a big off put. Like at the moment, again, because of that damn virus, I don't have a job right now. So looking at games at $125 a pop, at least Australian dollars, that's a lot of money to be spending. And frankly, I'm really at that point where I'm like, I can forego a lot of these games just based on the price alone. And some of them, I'm even sitting there going, I pray I get offered a review copy, or else I'm probably not buying this thing until it goes on sale in 3-4 years' time. Like, it's one of those things where I am now become ultra selective on what games I'm buying. Just based
Trust me, I'm the same way.
Yeah, you're not the only one,
Not
man.
costing that much.
I traded in 3 Switch games the other day just so I could get Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. That's double what we have to pay. That's ridiculous. I'm
And
sorry.
you think about it. Remember when you used to get money from your parents or from family, you get $120 or something. I'm gonna go buy a couple of games. Now it's like I can buy one game now. Like this is ridiculous.
No.
And publishers don't see a problem with this. I mean, again, off topic, but no, $70 is too much for a game. Way too freaking much. And what about the deluxe version of these games now? $80, $90. Are you kidding me?
We saw it with Godfall.
Day-one patches, all the fun stuff.
It's no.
Hell, look at one of the games we were talking about earlier today, Back for Blood, 3 different editions. At least here we've got like your standard edition, which is luckily that one's at a discounted price of $99.95. Then you've got the next one up, which is I think it was $149.95, and then the one above that was $175.95 or something like that. 3 different editions, getting close to nearly $200 for a friggin' video game.
Yep, not worth it right now. So yeah, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, yeah, maybe not a best buy right now. Unless you want it. I don't regret buying the consoles. I just wish there was more stuff to play on.
God no. I don't regret buying them. I'm happy to be able to say, hey, I bought both on launch day. No. But like if somebody was to come up to me and say, should I try and get one off scalpers, or should I wait until the next drop happens?
Will you punch them first, then tell them no, or then tell them no, then punch them?
If they said, do I buy them off scalpers, then yeah, there would be a punch coming. If it was one of those ones where they turn around and go, look, I might be able to get one the next time it pops up for sale, should I do it? I'd quite happily turn around and say, no, stick with your current console. Wait for maybe another six months to a year before actively looking for something. Wait until there is a market for the games before buying the console.
Yeah.
Hey, if anybody wants to buy an Xbox Series X, you can buy mine from me. Hit me up. I will sell it to you.
I mean, every single game that they showed at the Future Games Show or that Xbox ID at Xbox thing had Xbox One or PS4 on it. Even though Xbox secretly tries to make you think that it's not coming for them because they put Xbox Series on it instead of the One. It is. But like, that's the point, though. Is everything that's coming within, other than Ratchet and Clank and Returnal and like a few, those couple of games, everything else is coming for those old consoles. So there's like no point of rushing. Even freaking Halo, as far as we know, is still coming for the old console. So, what's the point of rushing out and buying it? If you can get it when there's a drop for it, go for it if you have the money. You spend your money how you want to. That's your money, man. But don't rush out there because of FOMO or because of, like, there's going to be this game coming out, and wait till that game comes out and buy it. Why go pay a scalper 3 times as much for that?
Oh my God,
It's
please
like
don't do that.
stupid.
Please don't
You
do
know?
that. And don't encourage these fools.
And if you're a parent, like, I am, Keith is, like, dude, I know your kid's not gonna understand why you don't have it for them, but you'll figure out a way to explain it that it ain't worth it, man. You can
You
buy
know
a
what
lot
I
of
tell my kids?
You can always go for the classic. What my parents did to me when I needed to get me a PS2 when I was younger. I don't love you.
No, I just go because I can't afford it. I got more important things.
No, just tell them the real truth. I don't love you. If you really want my love, you should have worked harder
I
like your
am
mother
never
did.
gonna tell my kid that.
Well, it worked for me, and that's how I think about love. I'll become a great parent. It worked out for me. So it's like, yep, now I got my own PS3. So
I am not gonna do that.
you should
But
do it. Little Keith will learn.
but that's the thing. I tell my kid, look, I mean, my kids know me. They all know me, so it won't work either way. They know I will figure out a way to get something. I buy it and I'll sell stuff to recoup the costs because it has worked for me in the past. But if I was ever in a situation where it was like I have to spend a lot of money to get a console, then I'm just not going to buy a freaking console. It's not that important. I got a car bill, I got a house to pay, and insurance, and everything else. Console is the least thing I need to worry about right now.
I mean, if it's the way you make money, like you're a streamer or you're a, journalist or whatever, that you're getting paid because, that's what you do, then okay, that's a different deal. But if you're not in one of those situations, seriously, don't pay ridiculous prices.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Well, looks like we've come to the end of yet another amazing podcast. As always, folks, thank you for stopping by and checking us out. Sean, since you are the guest, sir, go ahead and tell everybody about yourself, plug your site, all that fun stuff. Do it to it.
All right. I mean, so I'm the host of Video Games to the Max, which is part of the WTM Network and part of WTMnet.com, which is the main place where I'm the editor in chief and write game reviews there and edit everybody's stuff. But we mostly do podcasts on that end, and I also write for Last Word on Gaming, which I do like news articles and all that other stuff there. And yeah, I mean, that's my thing. I also do reviews on 41 Mania as well, which they're more known for wrestling than they are games, but they do have a games section.
All right, folks. Well, for myself, for Sean, for Matt, thank you for stopping by. As always, you can find the Spectator podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, iTunes. We can also leave a rating on iTunes, so definitely please do that to help us rise up in the ranks because there are apparently over 2 million podcasts on Apple iTunes. That's ridiculous. Rate us. We need to rise up over those people. And other than that, pick some games, have some fun. Don't be a fool and spend hundreds of dollars on a console that you don't need, and spend your money wisely. All right, and I think we are done with another episode of the Spectator Mode podcast. So thanks for watching, and we're getting out of here. Good night, everybody. And we is done.